Hi, my name is Minh, and I'm with Recipe for Success, a SNAP Ed organization housed at UNCG, the University of North Carolina at Greensboro. So before we start, I want to say thank you to our partner for letting us use their wonderful kitchen here today. And our partner's name is One Step Further in Greensboro. So the recipe we're going to use today is the garlic paprika roasted turkey. Now I want to give you all some time to pick up a recipe card at your location, wherever you are right now, before we get started. So this is one of my favorite turkey recipes. It's definitely something that I've made for Thanksgiving, but it's also something that I've eaten for the December holidays and actually year round. So it's entirely up to you as to when you want to eat this turkey. It's gonna be great either way, any time of the year. So I'm gonna invite you into this kitchen and then we're gonna get started. So I wanted to talk to you all about the size of the turkey before we even talk about seasoning and then any of the other ingredients that goes on to this turkey. So this recipe calls for a turkey breast. Now, if you want to use a whole turkey, that is totally fine. The recipe is really for a 2-pound turkey breast. I have a 6-pound turkey breast here, so I'm gonna multiply all of my seasonings that goes onto this turkey breast by 3. If you use a whole turkey, let's say a 10-pound turkey, then you would need to multiply the recipe by 5. So make sure you follow the recipe on the recipe card so that we're not so confused about how much seasoning to use. So I just wanted to let you all know that. So when I talk about using seasoning here in a bit, I've already multiplied it by 3 because of the size of my turkey breast. So like I said, we have a turkey breast here. It's 6 pounds, so it's a very big turkey breast. So that is what it looks like. It looks like a small version of a butterball whole turkey. So before I cut into this plastic wrap here, I'm going to grab my pan and line it with aluminum foil. That way it's easy to clean up later on, and especially if you're having a dinner party at your house, you don't want to mess around with the turkey for too long. Now, if you have a turkey roasting rack in your oven, or if you bought an oven roast rack, if you have one at home, you can definitely use that. Make sure you line the bottom with some aluminum foil. Again, easy cleanup. But if you don't have that at home, a pan with some aluminum foil on top will do just as well. To that, we're gonna spray some cooking spray on top. I have olive oil cooking spray, but you can definitely use anything that you have at home. Just give it a quick spray so that that turkey later on doesn't stick to the aluminum foil. And I'm gonna set this aside and work on this turkey breast. So make sure you pull out the turkey gravy that comes with it. You can use this if you like, but there will definitely be turkey drippings later on in here. So you can definitely use the turkey drippings and make your own gravy. So this is technically 2 whole breasts. So it's the whole breast part of a turkey. Now we're gonna just leave it as is. Now you can probably all see the juices running out of the turkey, and that is okay. We'll just make sure we clean it up before you work on your seasoning. Another thing to note is that turkey is normally sold frozen. So make sure you thaw out your turkey ahead of time so that you're not working with a frozen turkey. Now I have I have thawed this turkey breast out in the refrigerator for 2 days. Now if you have a whole turkey, make sure that you have it sitting out for at least 4. So by the time you bake the turkey in the oven, roast the turkey in the oven, it is all thawed out. And I'm gonna get this station cleaned up and then we'll work on the seasoning. So we have our turkey over here ready to go in the pan. Now we're gonna work on the butter. So, like I said earlier, this turkey breast is 6 pounds. So we're gonna multiply the recipe by 3. So the original recipe calls for 2 pounds of turkey breast for with 2 tablespoons of butter. So if we need to multiply it by 3, we need 6 tablespoons of butter, which is about 3/4 of a whole stick. So I'm gonna cut these into smaller chunks, put it into a microwave safe bowl. I have a measuring cup here that is microwave safe. And I'm gonna stick this in the microwave and microwave it for about 30 seconds until everything's melted. I've microwaved the butter for about 30 seconds and it's all melted here. And it's a little bit warm, so I'm gonna set it here for just a few minutes while we're working on our seasoning. So let it cool. All right, so seasoning, I have a small bowl here. We are going to need to multiply this recipe by 3, again, because of the 6-pound turkey breast that we have over there. So we're gonna start with kosher salt. The original recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of kosher salt. So if I need to multiply it by 3, then I need 3 teaspoons of salt. And I'm gonna set it into that bowl right there. The recipe also calls for a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. Now again, I need to multiply it by 3, so I need 3/4 teaspoon. So almost a teaspoon of ground pepper. I'm gonna stick that in the bowl with the salt. And then the next thing we're gonna use is garlic powder. Now you can use fresh garlic if you would like. You would need to double the amount of garlic on top of how much you're gonna multiply based on the turkey you're gonna use. So the recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of garlic powder. We're gonna need to multiply it by 3, so we need 6 total teaspoons of garlic powder. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. To that bowl, I'm going to add paprika. Paprika is more of a smoky flavor. It's not spicy. I know that sometimes people ask me that if it is spicy. To me, it's more of a smoky flavor. So if you have young children or adults that cannot eat spice, I found that this recipe is still a favorite among all. So this recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of paprika. We need to multiply it by 3, so we also need 6 teaspoons of paprika, which is a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, if you want to make a spicy turkey, you can definitely add a couple teaspoons of cayenne pepper. Ground cayenne pepper will help spice that up, or even red pepper flakes, and that will help spice that up pretty quickly. So to this bowl, the last dry ingredient we're going to use is thyme. You can use fresh thyme. Remember, if you use fresh thyme, you have to double it, just like garlic. So whatever the recipe calls for, double it and then multiply it by the number of pounds you have for your turkey. The recipe calls for 1 teaspoon of dried thyme. We need to multiply it by 3, so I'm going to grab 3 teaspoons of thyme. There's 1, here's 2, and there's 3. So now we have all of our dry spices into this bowl. I'm going to use that same teaspoon and just mix it up. And that should be ready to go. So we're going to move back to our turkey over here. And what I'm going to do is I have 2 paper towels right here, and we're just going to pat this turkey to make sure that it's nice and dry. You don't want any moisture because any of that moisture will
slide all of your seasoning off of your turkey breast, so we want to make sure it's dry as much as possible. So I'm going to make sure this turkey is all nice and dry. There's no juices on the bottom of the pan. And that should be it. All right, so we're gonna actually start with the bottom side of this turkey. Now, if you have a brush at home, dip it into your butter and brush your turkey breast. If you don't have a brush at home, a spoon, just a regular tablespoon at home will just do just fine. Just pour that in and use your hands to kind of rub that butter around the bottom side of your turkey breast here. And I like to get it all covered inside and out so that all the flavors of that seasoning mix that we have just mixed over there will be covered. Now, by using your hands to cover up the turkey breast, you are essentially the brush in this process. So you want to use about 1/3 to about 1/2 of that butter on the back side. And then as soon as you have your turkey covered with butter on the back side, take some of your spice seasonings and rub that in. And it's okay if you lose some. That's why we always mix extra. Make sure you get it everywhere, on the side of the turkey, on the very bottom of the turkey. Now, if you're using a whole turkey, it's the same process. Okay, I'm going to pick up this breast, flip it around. I'm going to pour the rest of the butter on top and use my hands to rub that all in. I'm going to take the rest of the seasoning mix here and just sprinkle it on top. I'm going to use my other hand to pat down the seasonings to make sure that it's on the turkey. Let's make sure we get it all nice and covered. If you have seasoning that fell off the turkey, you can definitely pick it up with your fingers and pat it back onto the turkey. Sometimes the butter also drips off of the turkey, so you can pick that up with your hands as well. With the seasoning on the bottom of the pan, the butter starts to clump up, so it may be a little bit easier to spread that seasoning around the turkey and pat it down. So we want to make sure we don't waste any of it. I think that is pretty good. So I have the oven preheated to 425, and I'm going to rinse my hands and then stick this in the oven. So you want to stick this in the oven at 425 and bake it for about 20 minutes. Now, as soon as the 20 minutes is over, grab a piece of aluminum foil and cover your turkey in that oven and bake it for another 60 minutes, so that's an hour, until the temperature reaches 160. Now, this is a larger breast than some of the other ones at the grocery store. If that's the case, then you might have to stick it in the oven for an extra 20 minutes. Just make sure that when you stick your thermometer into the turkey breast, that it reads 160 degrees. So, I'm gonna go stick this in the oven and I'll meet you back here once it's ready and cooked. I just pulled this out of the oven and it's our turkey here. And about 20 minutes into the baking process, I grabbed a piece of aluminum foil and I just loosely covered up the turkey breast. So we're gonna take that off. And it looks great. So when you're at home, make sure you stab a thermometer in there to make sure that it's cooked. A great way to check if it's cooked, if you don't have a thermometer, is to stick a smaller knife than this one into the side, the biggest part of your turkey, and see if it's running clear. So we want to make sure that the juices are running clear out of the turkey before we cut into the turkey itself. So this is good to go. So we're gonna let it sit here for about 10 minutes so that the juices all lock into the turkey so that we don't eat a dry breast. Now I like to cover it back up while it's sitting there to kind of cool down and to let the juices set in the breast so that it stays warm. So I'll meet you all back here in about 10 minutes. So we're back with the turkey. I'm gonna pull off the aluminum foil. So this has been sitting and resting for about 10 minutes to lock in those turkey juices. If you have a carving fork at home, please use that. We don't have one here in the demonstration kitchen, so I'm using some tongs, which works just as well. And again, this is 2 turkey breasts technically, so it's a whole breast. So you can see here that there's a breast on this side and a breast on this side. So what I'm gonna do is try to cut this in half real quick. And you'll hit a bone if you bought a turkey breast with a bone in it, and that's totally fine. And then what I'm gonna do is cut a piece of turkey breast down here so you can all see what it looks like. And because we covered it up with the aluminum foil while it's resting, the turkey is nice and moist. You probably see that it's nice and still glistening in there. So that's what you like to see in a turkey breast. You don't want to eat dry turkey breast. So I'm gonna go ahead and just cut this up into slices. And that's it. And that is your garlic paprika roasted turkey breast. Well, I hope you all enjoy this recipe. It's one of my favorite turkey recipes. And thanks for watching this video.